For tons of people all over the world, the US is a dream destination, a place to see, a place to study, a place to start a new career. But hold on, if you're planning on doing that in 2026, you gotta know that the entire rulebook for getting there has been thrown out and rewritten. So let's get into exactly what's different. So, are you dreaming of heading to the US soon? Whether it's for a quick vacation, a university degree, or that big job opportunity, that entire dream kicks off with one make or break step, the visa application. And yeah, this is where it gets real, because that whole process, the one people have kind of gotten used to over the years, it has been completely overhauled. We're not talking about a few small updates. The rulebook has been dramatically rewritten. Okay, so here's how we're going to break this all down. We'll start with the new all-digital system. Then we'll look at the new price tag for getting in. After that, we'll dive into the intense new vetting process, zoom in on student visas, tackle the new entry restrictions, and then wrap it all up with what you absolutely need to know for 2026. First things first, the very foundation of how you apply for a visa is changing. We are moving away from stacks of paper and diving headfirst into a totally digital world. So what does this actually mean for you? Well, pretty much everything is now online. You'll upload your documents online, you'll track your status online. They're even testing out a paperless visa, which is kind of wild. It means you might not even get a physical stamp in your passport anymore. But here's the part you really need to pay attention to: automated screening. The idea is to make things faster, but the reality is that these new computer systems are not forgiving. One tiny mistake on your application, one little inconsistency, and an algorithm could flag you for a delay or even a rejection before a person ever even lays eyes on it. All right, let's talk about the money, because this is a big one. It's going to affect every single person who applies. Getting a US visa in 2026 is a whole lot more expensive. And the main reason for that price jump? It's this brand new thing called a visa integrity fee. It's an extra $250 charge that gets tacked on to most standard visa applications. So what's the bottom line? When you add everything up, the typical cost for a tourist, student, or basic work visa is now sitting at around $459. That's a massive increase from what it used to be, and it's definitely something you have to budget for now. So let's break that down. You've got your standard $185 fee. Then there's a new $24 fee for your arrival record. And then boom, that huge $250 integrity fee. Now, the government says this big fee is basically a refundable security deposit. It's meant to encourage people to not overstay their visa. But, and this is a big but, the actual process for getting that money back, it's still a little murky. You have to follow all the rules of your visa perfectly and leave on time to even be eligible for a refund. So, you've jumped through the digital hoops, you've paid the new fees, but you're not done yet. Not even close. Now comes the vetting process, and wow, it has gotten way more intense. A perfect example of this is what's happened with interview waivers. It used to be pretty common, right? If you were renewing a visa, or if you were very young, or a senior citizen, you could often skip the whole in-person interview. Well, as of 2026, you can pretty much forget about that. The new policy says most people have to show up for an interview, which gives the officers a lot more power to call anyone in. And during that interview process, they are digging deeper than you can probably imagine. They're not just looking at your application form anymore. They are now doing deep dives into social media history. They're going through your past travel and job records with a fine-tooth comb, and they're asking for much stricter proof of your finances, including where that money came from. The bottom line is this: your entire personal history, both online and off, is now officially part of your visa application. Okay, to make this all feel a bit more real, let's zoom in on a super common visa type, the F1 for students. So what's an F1 visa? Simple. It's the ticket that lets international students come and study full-time at approved schools in the United States. It's the key for hundreds of thousands of students every year. And in 2026, getting that key is a lot tougher. The basic roadmap still looks the same. You get your I-20 form from the school, you pay a fee called the CVIS fee, and you fill out that online application. But remember what we said about those new digital systems? Total accuracy is everything. And with way fewer interview waivers, you have got to schedule that interview appointment as early as possible. But really, it all boils down to that interview. The visa officers are laser focused on one thing: your intent. You have to prove, without a shadow of a doubt, that you're a real student, not just someone using a school acceptance letter as an excuse to get into the country. That means showing you have enough money to pay for your entire degree, explaining exactly why you chose that particular school, and, this is the big one, proving you have strong reasons to go back to your home country after you graduate. Okay, now we have to talk about probably the biggest and most difficult changes. Some new, really broad restrictions on who can even apply to enter the US. I'm just going to lay out the facts here, straight from the official proclamations. The official thinking behind these new rules comes directly from a presidential proclamation that was issued in late 2025. It basically frames this whole policy as a national security measure, designed to make sure that people entering the country don't have bad intentions. So this proclamation led to what you see here, a full or partial suspension of visas for people from these specific countries. For the countries under full suspension, that means a stop to pretty much all visas, immigrant and non-immigrant. The other list has partial restrictions, mainly on immigrant visas. The official justification given for this is that there are concerns about vetting and information sharing with these nations. And it's also important to know there's another thing happening at the same time. The Department of State has put its own pause on immigrant visas for people from a different and longer list of countries. This one is based on what's called public charge concerns, which is basically a worry that people might become dependent on government benefits. Okay, so that is a lot to take in. With all of these new rules, what on earth are you supposed to do to prepare? Well, it really all boils down to 5 key things. First, be obsessed with accuracy. Check, double-check, and triple-check every single thing you type into those online forms. Second, prepare to be scrutinized. Just assume they're going to look at everything: your social media, your bank account, your travel history. Third, plan your finances. That nearly $500 fee is real, so you have to be ready for it. Fourth, book that interview appointment the second you're able to. And finally, be clear and consistent. Your application, your documents, and what you say in your interview all need to tell the exact same truthful story. You know, when you step back and look at all of this, the digital gates, the higher costs, the deep background checks, it kind of leaves you with a really big question, right? In a world that feels more connected every single day, are the actual borders between countries getting even harder to cross? Definitely something to think about.